Good day, it's Tony Fortunato from the technology firm. A lot of you seem to like these little walkthroughs, so I'm going to do another one with you. It's a trace I just took with a customer yesterday, literally. So I want to talk about what I saw, a little bit about troubleshooting, tips, tricks, methodology, that kind of thing. So it doesn't matter how I got to this trace and what I filtered on. It doesn't matter. We just have a trace here on our screen that is filtered by IPs and port numbers, and that's called a conversation filter or a stream, TCP stream. This is number 12, okay? So now that it's on the screen, I want to talk a little bit about what I saw and why we're working with it. Now, a little something to note. Here it says packet size limited during capture. That's because I did something called packet slicing. It just extends the duration of the capture without capturing the entire packet. It has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about today as far as the issue goes. It's just there, so just don't worry about it. You can almost ignore it. Now, what caught my eye was I see all these packets going back and forth. Now, the length, they're all 64. And over here you can see this TCP packet says LEN equals 1. That means there's 1 byte within that TCP packet, like 1 byte of payload, if you will. So now I can see it there, 1, 1, and this one length is 0. But if you take a look a little further to the left, it's an acknowledgement, ACK. It's acknowledging a packet. So I'm not going to get into too much about sequence numbers and acknowledgements, but I'm just walking through the basics. So this is what kind of stuck out as being weird. Length equals 1, because if you had a lot of data in a packet, you'd see 512 or 1460, that sort of thing. 1 means 1 byte, 1 character, like the letter A. And it just seems weird. It just seems odd. And there's a lot of them, right? They're all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, the system is working just fine. The customer's not complaining about performance, but they want to move this server to another site for redundancy, disaster recovery, that sort of thing. So it's kind of important to understand the way things work locally, because when you spread them apart, it's not going to be as forgiving, right? So this is just fine as far as the customer is concerned, but I'm trying to explain that it's not fine and it needs some tuning. So when you take a look at these 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, I'm going to open up this data here, 1 byte, and you see it says 0A. That's what the data says. I'll click another one. It says data 30, and I'll click another one, and it says 31. So it doesn't really have anything meaningful in it. Now what I'm wondering is, are they all ones? And as I scroll through this, I'm just kind of scrolling really quick, and you can see the length here, 64, all the way down the line. It's not really changing much. Now there's a lot of packets, so there might be something in there. I don't know, but for now it just all looks like ones. So a little technique. What you can do is we're going to right click, I'm going to go down to follow, and then I'm going to select TCP stream, click. That's going to strip off all the payload of all the packets in that conversation and show it to me on a screen. There you go. And red is from the client, and this blue is from the server. So I can see this is what's being sent, UTC, and this is what's being received, UTC, year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds, that sort of thing, okay? Now, that looks obviously like a time. What's interesting about it is this is not the time protocol, which typically is going to be UDP based in most systems. This is TCP. This is what the application is using for its time services. So this is kind of an application specific thing, if you will. Now what I find really intriguing about this is 10 is the server, 5 is not the time server. It's a terminal server, an async, those asynchronous serial terminal servers. And inside of that box, there's a serial port that goes to a time server. So it's time server, serial, terminal server with the IP back to the server. So it's a fairly, I'm going to say, unique configuration, but it doesn't matter. So I can see that all the time values is being sent back one number at a time. And that's kind of interesting. So what I'm telling the customer is, this behavior is not efficient. Sure, it works, but it doesn't work well. And if you spread the boxes apart, this may be an issue. This is what people have to understand when they troubleshoot. The first step of baselining and troubleshooting is don't fix anything. Don't put on a cape. Don't try to save the world. What you need to do is get data. You need to document what you're seeing. Why? Because if there is a change, then we need to prove that change worked. In this case, if we made a change to the terminal server, for example, right? Let's just assume it's a serial port configuration issue and we make a change and we want to find out if it worked. Well, that's going to be easy. We want to make sure all these length equals 1 go away. But since we've done a baseline, we know the IPs, we know the port numbers, and we know the behavior. So that's the most important step of baselining and troubleshooting, is documenting what you see. Don't worry about the shoulds and the coulds and I think. Don't worry about that stuff. Just document what you know, and then you can compare it to what the change does in the future. That's it. So I hope that helped. Have a good day. Bye for now.